Fun day. Welcome into Last Call here, powered by WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Raineri, stepping in for the wonderful Kelly Stewart, who I believe is on a plane right now to New Orleans. She'll be on Radio Row all week long. Of course, we are now T-minus exactly a 1 week away from the big game. We're going to have a lot to say about that game. Our man Gianni, the Greek VR, will be by. We'll start talking a little bit of props here and see what the market is doing thus far, as now we are just 7 days away from that big game. We've got a full slate in the NHL here today, so a great opportunity to jump in to the ice, and who better than Carmine Bianco to stop by to talk about some of those games for us. And NBA, college basketball, and boy, oh boy, you all woke up this morning to tweets going, wait a minute, are we being punked? Wait a minute, Luca Donic is now a Laker? Yes, he is. And who better to get the reaction from, plus break down a few of these games today, than the one and only TC, Teddy Covers, in the house, kicking off last call for us here on Wager Talk. Teddy, I swear to God, I thought it was one of those, like one of those punk jobs. Like I'm trying to read the tweet. I'm like, is this like the fake ESPN account? Like, what's going on here? But we all woke up to the most amazing news ever. AD for Luca swap, Dallas and the Lakers. Boy, didn't have that on my bingo card today.
No, nobody did. And I think it speaks volumes about how difficult Luca Doncic has been to play with for his teammates in recent years. I mean, this is Dallas saying, we don't want this guy, the franchise player. And it's also Dallas saying, we're going for a championship right now, this year. Everyone's talking about OKC coming out of the West. I've been looking for it. If you see it, let me know if you find it. I want OKC versus the field in the West, and I'm going to bet against OKC. Someone else is coming out of the West. I understand the Thunder are getting there. But in the NBA, it's not about getting there. It's about having been there. And Dallas is a team that certainly has that championship pedigree for this season in a way that they may not have had before this trade. Now, is that going to matter? Are Kyrie and Anthony Davis going to be healthy in May and June? That's a whole other question. But Luka hasn't been healthy. For the Lakers, certainly you pick up a franchise cornerstone and a guy who, the Lakers have huge stars. And Luka Doncic is a huge international star, and that's what they do. But and he took the team to the finals last year. Let's not, for all the criticism that Luka gets from a basketball standpoint, he's as good as anyone in the league. So, but I've seen this grade traded, the ESPN trade at an F for Dallas, an A for the Lakers. And, I don't know if I'm giving it an F for Dallas. It won't be if they make it to the finals this year, and they're live to do just that.
When you think about the 25-year-old Luca Doncic, not even close to being in his prime yet, Teddy, what kind of pain in the ass must he have been behind the scenes for Dallas to be like, ain't giving you $365 million in a max deal. Let the Lakers, you're the Lakers problem now. Let's move on. I mean, that's kind of how crazy it is.
So I've never been an international superstar. Okay. I don't know what it's like, but I imagine you can imagine that it's when you get to that level, controlling the ego can be a problem.
Yep.
Listening to other people can be a problem.
Yep.
Working with other people can be a problem. And apparently that's, we've heard buzz about all that from Luka, and this perhaps cements that or solidifies that in terms of his reputation. That being said, he's playing in LA for the Lakers. He's going to get plenty of opportunities to overcome those
rumors.
From a basketball standpoint, I mean, there's not that many guys out there that are better than Luka.
No.
If you can deal with his personality, his play on the court is as elite as it gets.
I love that, waking up to it. And don't let anybody ever tell you leaks happen by accident. When the leaks don't happen, that too is by design in the NBA for sure. All right, let's dive into some of these games coming up here today. 5 total in the association, Teddy. A lot of eyes seem to be focused on the Celtics and the Sixers today. Sixers playing Shocker. Much better basketball without Paul George and Joel Embiid there. So what do we think we're going to get against a Celtics team, once again laying double digits, which never seems to be a profitable bet laying with the Celtics here, Teddy?
Well, never. Sometimes it is. Never is a mighty long time. All that being said, looking at the free WagerTalk live odds screen right now, I'm seeing Boston minus 11, 11.5 on the road in Philly, total 224.5 for this ball game. And this has been a surprisingly, maybe a shockingly competitive series. Since Boston beat Philly in 2023 in the postseason, they've met 5 times. Philly's won straight up twice, and they've lost by 6, 10, and 18. Competitive. Only one really bad loss. They played on Christmas Day this year, the only previous meeting. Philly won straight up at plus 9.5. That was with Embiid and George on the floor. Obviously, they don't have that duo right now. And for all the struggle, I mean, Philly started in January. They went 2-10 straight up, 2-10 against the spread. Really playing bad, losing basketball. Team with a bunch of guys who shouldn't be on the floor for championship contending teams. And, the 2 wins are in that span, Brooklyn and Washington. And they didn't even cover against Washington. The second point spread cover during that 2-10 straight up, 2-10 ATS span came by a hook against the Kings in a game they lost. Since that time, over the last, week and a half, 2 weeks, 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread. They've beaten the Nuggets, the Kings, or they took the Nuggets to the wire, beat the Kings, the Lakers, the Bulls, and the Cavs. Good teams. Nick Nurse working miracles over there. Boston, you talked about the struggles the Celtics have had against the spread, and they've been problematic from a point spread perspective. They really have. And they're in revenge. Again, they lost to Philly earlier in the season, but this hasn't been a team that I've been comfortable laying a price. When they saw this against New Orleans the other night, Jason Tatum with a big night, but defensively, the Celtics' intensity wasn't there. Trey Murphy went nuts, and it ended up a 2-point road win thanks to a game-winning jumper from Jason Tatum. And that's been fairly typical for Boston. Joe Mazzulla, quote, "We didn't play perfect, but it's one of those games. If you win, you're happy. If you lose, you're not. So you have to take it all. I thought we had some well-executed play. I thought we executed down the stretch. Great. Let them execute down the stretch tonight and get the win. But Philly right now is certainly the value team of this duo. And when you talk about 5-0 ATS, their last 5, in my mind, that's a streak worth riding for Philadelphia. So if I'm going to get involved with this one, I'll take the points with the dogs, hold my nose, and expect Philly to continue their strong level of intensity in recent games, something that Boston's had a problem with of late. Tell me what you think. If you like, we appreciate the likes, the follows, and of course the comments very much. Agree, disagree? Let me know below in the comments. Thank you so much.
The only thing I'll add there, Teddy, too, is the Sixer games have been off just ridiculous. I mean, their last 10 games are averaging 235 points a game. They've gone over in 8 and 12. They have not met a shot they don't like taking. It's absolutely hilarious. So it'll be interesting to see. The total has gotten hit here this morning, has it not?
Yeah, we're seeing 224 out there now, even 224 and a half. It opened pretty much 221 and a half was what I'll call the number. So we've seen some over money for this one. And it's worth noting, if you pay attention to this sort of thing, Tyrese Maxey did not make the All-Star team. I'm always interested in the guys that were snubbed. And Maxey was flat out snubbed. He's an All-Star. He played at an All-Star level. The only reason he didn't get there was because other players on his team were hurt. So if you're looking for player props, Maxey would be a guy to target. And Philly might be a team to target if their point guard plays with the intensity that he's been playing with and at the pace he's been playing with. I mean, obviously you talked about what Philadelphia's been doing. They're an up-tempo team right now, and the market's certainly showing signs that they're adjusting to that with the 3-point move upwards on the total.
42 against Denver, 43 against the Lakers. I don't know what his point prop is, chat room, but you may want to look up Tyrese Maxey in prime time here tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern time. That tip in Philly. The late game, Teddy, also interesting here tonight as the Memphis Grizzlies, who as of late have kind of owned Milwaukee here a little bit. Milwaukee limping home from what has not been a little road trip, not been profitable at all to back them. And it started with a loss in Portland during the week, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But they do get to go home here. It is a short number against Memphis. Are you buying Milwaukee in a bounce-back spot here tonight?
So let's start with this. Portland's playing good ball right now, man. Blazers are making me and my clients money. And I love teams like Portland that nobody pays any attention to. Toronto's another team like that. Oh, bottom feeder. And they get an uptick. You can make a ton of money with teams like that. My clients and I have enjoyed the Blazers and the Raptors in a recent contest. But let's talk about the Grizzlies and the Bucks. And certainly Memphis is a team that has given Milwaukee fits in recent seasons. They've won 6 in a row against the Bucks. 5 of those wins came by double-digit margins, multiple times as an underdog, including 122-99 in the only meeting this year. Should we expect more of the same today? Let's talk about it. Before I do, let me promo for a minute. I haven't promoted at all today. Let me promo just a little bit. NBA's running good right now. Won again last night with the Blazers. Take $50 off a 30-day NBA all-access pass. Just use promo code SPORT50 at checkout. Again, $50 off a 30-day all-access pass. Promo code SPORT50 at checkout. I encourage you to get on board. And, of course, we really appreciate the likes, the follows, and the comments very, very much. So it makes sense that Milwaukee has had problems with Memphis. Memphis is deep, something that the Bucks haven't been in recent years. The Grizzlies are young, they're athletic, they're hungry, they play the fastest pace in the NBA, and those are things that have given the Bucks problems in many recent. Milwaukee only, 13 in pace this year. Memphis is a better defensive efficiency team, number 7 compared to 10 for Milwaukee. So, first reaction here, and the Bucks off a loss. They've had a bad road trip, you talked about that. They're only 9-10 against the spread off a loss. So it's not like a loss has been, hey, we want Milwaukee. There are teams this year. Memphis is one of them who've been fantastic. Every time they lose, you bet on the Grizz the next game, you make money. They're like 13-3, I think, something like that, ATS. Bucks aren't like that, just 9-10. That being said, their home court advantage has been strong of late. The last 6 at home, all wins by 14 plus. Blowout. This home court has been worth something in recent weeks. Now, the quotes out of both these teams. Well, here's Doc Rivers talking about the bad loss to the Spurs in San Antonio on Friday night. Quote, "We gave up 17 points in the first 4 minutes of the game. To me, that set the tone. When they went into halftime, they felt great. We've been a great defensive team, but on this trip, we have not been. We've got to figure it out." Defensive quote from Milwaukee's head coach. Here's one from Taylor Jenkins, the Grizzlies head coach, talking about they won against the Rockets the other night by a single point, but it wasn't pretty. Quote, "Our defense has got to improve. We got to be better at our shift rotations, on-ball defense, second chance points. When we play the Rockets, they're going to test a lot of the things. We've got to be better about it." So when you see a total sitting at 246.5, and you see two teams that are fairly past Memphis, again, Memphis plays with pace. But when you see two coaches with both coaches coming out going, we sucked defensively last time. We got to play better. To me, that stands out a little bit. I'll look at the under in this contest. Again, 246.5. They could both get to 120 and we'll still cash the under. But I'm expecting, yes, they'll play with pace. But I don't know this is going to be a game where we're going to see two teams shooting 50% from the field. So I look under between the Grizzlies and the Bucks. The highest total on the board, in my mind, a little bit too high for today. Agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe right here on WagerTalk TV.
Only guy I'm seeing, Bobby Portis, is the only guy that's officially been ruled out. Lillard looks probable. Middleton looks probable. Giannis, everybody but Bobby Portis, who's missed the last couple of games either way with them. So that game is going to be the featured game tonight, 8:30 Eastern time, Memphis and the Bucks here, guys. And look at this, Rick J coming in, and we appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button here. What are we missing? They look great with a full squad. -5.5 seems low, Teddy. That is the Clippers taking on, well, what was the red-hot Toronto Raptors? We really didn't think they were just going to run the table the rest of the season, did we, people? They were going to lose at some point, Teddy. But I know you were a guy, much like Portland, during that streak. You were very much all over Toronto quietly while nobody else was paying attention to them.
Toronto streak isn't over. You know, they lost a game. The Raptors, they're not going to win every game, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you bet Toronto every game for the next month, you'll make money, plain and simple. Again, assuming they stay healthy, et cetera, et cetera. But from an injury standpoint, doesn't look like Norm Powell's going to play for L.A. today. That's really an impact injury. Chris Dunn as well has been downgraded to out. So a couple of, in my mind, impactful injuries for the Clippers today. But it's not about the Clips. It's about the Raptors. And the Raptors are playing good ball. And the Raptors are engaged. And the Raptors team chemistry is off the charts. So you can probably tell which way I'm leaning in this one.
Yeah, no doubt there. All right, just 5 games in the NBA, Teddy. We do have a couple of games in college. And the one game that you're going to break down for us is, for the most part, the feature game, the late game, final game of the day in college basketball. And it features a little Big Ten action. Still weird to say that with Oregon, but they are at home taking on Nebraska. And let's face it, Teddy, Oregon has come back down to life. They felt like a paper tiger early on in the season. They handled business in those early season tournaments, which kind of skyrocketed them. And boy, they've been going through it over the last couple of weeks here, but they are back home. And Nebraska finally won a game against, well, let's just say they finally won a game, and many people didn't think they were going to figure that one out. But what do we do? Do we trust Nebraska on the road in Oregon here?
Do we trust Oregon at home? Do we trust Oregon anywhere right now? I mean, that's the question about the Ducks. Is not do we trust Nebraska? I'll talk about Nebraska in a minute, but Oregon is a money-losing team for their backers. I mean, they're burning money. They're 5 in a row point spread losses, just 1-7 ATS their last 9. They got blown out at home by Illinois. They lost at home to Purdue, coming off a bad road trip. Read the quotes, Dana Altman, and I apologize, it's on this screen. Quote, we're not playing well. We're not playing with a lot of confidence. We're going to have it took it up and play. It's going to be a tough ball game. Forward, Brandon Angel. Quote, it's obviously a tough conference, but at the end of the day, we can and will compete with everyone. Everything goes back to playing harder. That's the frustrating part. We're all frustrated in the locker room. We got to find a way to protect home court better. We got a tough road and stuff. Start with one, get that done, hopefully build some confidence going into the next road trip. I know they're coming off a bad blowout loss to UCLA. And before that, a bad loss as a favorite to Minnesota. I'm not convinced that the Ducks have a switch to flip on. This is a team that from a market perspective was very highly rated coming into the Big Ten campaign. And in this point spread range, we're seeing that there's still a fair bit of respect for the Oregon Ducks. That win that Nebraska had against Illinois the other night, and again, they had the lead, they let it get away, went to overtime, they made plays in OT. If ever there was a circle the wagons game, that was it for the Huskers, and they played like it. Now they got to do it on the road where they've had all kinds of problems. But I'd much rather take Nebraska after they got that W with a little bit of confidence, with a little bit of swagger in their step. And it's not like they've been consistently getting hammered on the highway. Yes, they had an ugly loss to Wisconsin that stood out, and that's right before the win over Illinois. And they had another bad loss to Purdue, but they took Iowa to overtime on the highway. They took Maryland to the wire on the highway, lost that game by 3. And I would expect Nebraska to give Oregon a battle tonight. This game does not feel like a blowout to me. And the Ducks, right now are not a blowout team. They don't have that confidence level. So Huskers, for me, +7. That is a client play on Sunday night.
Gotta love it, Teddy. See, a little Sunday action on the hardwood, both NBA and college hoops, provides everyone an opportunity to end the week on a profitable note. You mentioned earlier, Teddy, when you've been running hot, anything up, lock, loaded for, I don't know, that game next Sunday? It escapes my mind. But what do you got over on your page at WagerTalk.com?
Sure. Right now, I've got a single best bet in college hoops. You just got it for free. That would be Nebraska plus the points. I've got one play in the NBA. If you've been paying attention during the show, you probably know what that is as well. That being said, I haven't officially given it out, so you can check out the page, wt.buzz/TC. And we are locked and loaded a 5. This is one of those games, Super Bowl Sunday. When it jumps off the page at me, I load up on it. We won each of the last 3 Super Bowls. We're looking to make it 4 in a row this year. It is a 5% big ticket play on the side, on the money line. And we also have, I believe, 9 plays that I put in the prop report. That's all up and available right now, wt.buzz/TC. So looking to make some money on Super Bowl Sunday. They've been pretty good for us in recent years.
I love it. And like Teddy said, for all those celebrating Luca in a Laker uniform, don't be running to the window to back OKC as your Western Conference champion just yet. More on that during the week. Teddy, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for swinging by. Enjoy the games here today. We'll see you all week long, leading up, of course, to the big game next Sunday. What are you guys doing? Have you not hit the like button yet? What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. We certainly appreciate you doing so. Carmine Bianco coming up in just a few. We got a huge slate on the ice today in the NHL. So Carmine's going to take your questions, going to dole out a couple of winners for you there. But first, man of the hour, straight from like a 23-hour marathon in the steam room yesterday. Gianni the Greek in the house here and ready to roll on what should be a very interesting week here, Gianni. It's been interesting already, has it not? Leading up to the big game on Sunday, it's the bets are starting to pour in. Let's start with the NFL here in this big game. What have you seen so far? What's the main push, you thinking?
Indeed, real quickly, and coming off that marathon steam room like you touched on, Joe, where we went through every single college basketball game. Added for it as well. Every single one. Shared every move that I had, and when all the dust was settled, we narrowed it down to only 4 premium plays, finished 3-1 in those in college basketball. As you can see, been up all night. I think I'm still wearing the same thing from that steam room, if my memory corrects me. Here's what I got so far in the Super Bowl. We didn't see, just like you touched on, we didn't see much money at all early on. In fact, I was seeing kind of balance for every Eagles bet that came in, a Kansas City bet came in. For every Eagles, 2 bets, 3 bets on Kansas City. So it's kind of balanced. Even the money was kind of balanced. And usually that's not the case. In fact, we're used to, by the end of the first week, the sportsbook saying we need team A or we need team B, meaning there's always getting one-sided. And we're trying to calm it down. I remember always coming on saying, relax. By the time the game kicks off, they're going to have a lot more balanced action. Usually the favorite bettors get out ahead if they see the line moving that way, and the dog bettors have no reason to jump out early if they see the line climbing up. If it's the opposite and the dog money's starting to pile up, the line's coming down. So if you like the favorite, there's no reason to jump out ahead. That hasn't happened here. In fact, like I said, because of the balance action, we're not hearing the sportsbook saying we need team A or we need team B. The only thing you may hear from them is, well, based on our futures, if this happens, it'll be a better outcome for us. Or if that happens, it'll be a better outcome for us. That's all we're hearing. But I'm starting to see what I saw in the conference championship and in the playoffs before that. The money being tied in from earlier into that Super Bowl, meaning bettors that know they're going to be getting down on Sunday. They know who they like, whether it's the side or the total, and to try to get out ahead and even get a nicer return, because if they like the dog, there's not much money line action you could get. You ain't getting like plus 200, 250, 300. So what they're doing is they're parlaying it with some of the sides that they like already. Like some of the sides yesterday in college basketball, like North Carolina, they were already parlaying North Carolina with all those points with the Super Bowl. So you'll start seeing a ton of that this week. And here's what I'm starting to see. The one bet that's starting to stick out a little bit is Kansas City on the money line. Kansas City on the money line. And when I look at the book, I look at the back end, not sharp money related. Most of the recreational bettors, they're tying in parlays with the Chiefs on the money line, not laying the 1.5. So I think that's why they're parlaying it. So they don't have to lay. If they like the Chiefs next week money line, they don't want to have to play 125, 130 to win 100. This way, and especially you're getting decent parlay odds. Usually when they money line parlay with NFL, they're laying chalk. They're laying minus 400s, 450s. Like they put together that money line parlay with a bunch of NFL chalk. Well, this is only one game. So they're starting to do that with other sports. They're tying in some of the chalk in NBA to that Super Bowl, some of the chalk in college basketball to the Super Bowl. I've even seen NHL chalk, some of those minus 350s tied into the Super Bowl. And the side that's being tied into the most is Kansas City money line. That's what's popping out at me as far as this early. But as I said, as this week approaches, we'll get a much clearer picture. As the weekend approaches, we'll have a definite picture as far as what the public's on, what the sharps on. I can tell you this, wise guys do this. This is what the betting syndicate's doing. There's a couple groups out there that only bet props. No lie. They wait year in and year out. They fly out to Vegas. They come with a bankroll, 50, 100K. And they barrel the books with props. They're middling props. They're usually a team. They have guys at different casinos, and they're able to say, hey, I got 5.5 over here on rushing yards. You got 6.5 over there. Let's play some games. And you'll see a lot of that going on from these groups. But when you see that over come out early, that means they want to get out ahead of the public. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the Goddard yardage, the Goddard receptions over from the sharp bettors, the Worthy receptions, the Worthy receiving yards over. So sharp bettors got out ahead of that, knowing the recreational bettors are going to bet those overs as well. And now they're just sitting back. They're waiting for the recreational bettors to bet the props because they haven't bet these props yet. And when they do, their bias is towards the overs. Their bias is towards the plus money. Like they'll bet, yes, there's a safety. Yes, there's overtime. Yes, there's a defensive touchdown. All those things that give them where they have to put up a little money to win a lot. And the betting syndicates are hoping that they bet those down so much that they could come in there and instead of laying minus 800, they got to lay minus 600, minus 500. And they'll do that all day. If they think the true line should be minus 1,000 and they could get down at minus 450, 500, they'll place that bet every single day. So that's what they're looking for leading into next Wednesday weekend. It's going to be interesting if the betting public gives them that opportunity and bets all these props over and takes advantage of all that plus money. And so far, only bets I'm seeing on the total are over. Haven't seen, even though it dropped a little bit, haven't seen any under money from the recreational bettors. They're betting this one over for sure.
Which leads me to believe, Gianni, that the pros are probably waiting until last minute. If they're going to hit the under, it ain't happening until an hour or 2 hours. And then it's going to be a mad rush to the window to try to get the under at the best price, right? So I think it's interesting that they're just letting the public do their thing. But boy, in that 23rd hour, they might very well be coming back in on the under.
100%. That's exactly what they're waiting for, Joe. And it happens every single year. It's not as if, they haven't done this before. So why not sit back, relax, and take advantage of that? Because even though it's a zero-sum game and they're not working together, everybody's out for the best number. They know there's more than enough outs. They're not going to get backed off really, because if anything, they're helping limit the risk for the books. More times than not, when that game kicks off, they want the sharps to win. They want to pay the wise guys Monday morning because they have such an overwhelming amount of recreational bettors the other way. Because again, there's so much, no disrespect, unsophisticated money that will be bet on this Super Bowl. And they like to, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. They want to put up a little to win a lot. And they take advantage of that, the sharp bettors, and they like to bet the overs because who really wants to cheer for a 3-0 game? You want to see action. You want to see scoring. You want to see your wide receiver get 150 plus yards. And more importantly, you're live till the end of the game. When you bet an under by halftime, you could be out of it. If I bet under 4.5 receptions and he catches 5 passes by the third quarter, my ticket's in the trash. But if he has 0 catches at halftime and I have over 4.5, I still got a shot. I'm still alive. I got a chip in a chair, like they say in poker. My ticket's not in the trash can yet. So that's why it's that comfort of being live till the game's over, as opposed to betting unders where by the end of the first quarter, you could be throwing your ticket in the trash. So it's that comfort that makes them even more biased towards the over on big games like this.
Yeah, buckle up. This final week should be very, very interesting, Gianni. But I'm wondering, too, over the years, because I remember how it used to be only about the Westgate, right, and Vegas and company, where the props would come out and everyone would run to the windows, and it would be all about that. But because the props have been out from day one. I mean, I know they just released it. How has that changed the game in the prop market where guys since last Sunday have been betting the props? We already knew the numbers. We didn't have to guess.
I love that you brought that up. That's a great point, because most of them are autofill. Meaning it's the same ones every single year, and all they have to do is shave the number a little bit. Like the sports books were ready. They were already ready. All they had to do is get the players' props ready. And by that, they're going to look at the season totals. They're going to look at the recency bias, how they've done over the playoffs, and they already have the script. But because of the competition now, because there's so many sports books out there, it's creativity that is at the forefront, meaning everybody's trying to be more creative than the next guy. Everybody's trying to take more props than the next guy. You nailed it. We used to wait at the Westgate because they had the most. Every single year in, year out, they had the most props. They had the sheet. Now everybody has the sheet. And that's where you're able to take advantage of some of those obscure props that aren't autofill, that aren't the same thing. I mean, the safety prop's pretty much the same every year. The no overtime's pretty much the same every year. They just got to shade it based on what the betting line is for the game. Of course, a game that's 1.5 has a lot higher probability of going to overtime than a game where the team's -10, -11. So that's all they have to do, adjust for that. But it's the creativity, the cross-sport props, the obscure ones that they don't have a long history of. They don't have a huge sample size of. Those are the ones, like if you're really digging into, those are the ones I think you could really take advantage of. Like I wish I had the time to really dig into some of those props, because again, they're trying to outdo the guy across the street by being more creative and come up with an even wilder prop. You know, it was back in the day where it was one sheet. That was it. Now it's sheets after sheets after sheets from every sports book. So I urge you to go through them. And because there will be mistakes. When you have to put out 1,000 props, there's going to be mistakes. And more importantly, you're even going to miss some of the adjustments. Like where somebody bets, they don't bet the limit, so you don't adjust it. Guys come in, they make a couple bets. They're not limit bets, so they don't adjust it. And you're able to get a much better number than you would otherwise. So yeah, take your time, do some shopping, and you'll find some really good plus EV bets, especially in those wild cross-sport parlays. I mean, cross-sport props and stuff like that you don't usually see at every single book across the board.
Yep, it's so true, Gianni. I mean, free market, right? The more competition, the better for the consumer like us. Because there's been a mad rush to get those numbers out early, and that's great for bettors, both pros and Joes. That's great, because you're right. They can't possibly be that sharp on all those numbers that quickly across the board in as many states and as many books as we've got to deal with. So there is value to be had in the prop betting market, and you have seen the numbers grow each year, more so than the handle on the game itself, the side of the total. It's all about the props.
100%. In fact, the first Super Bowl prop actually happened because of the blowouts in the 80s. Blowouts. And people stopped watching the game. So they said, we have to give them something else to bet on, because these commercials, they're paying $1 million for 30 seconds and nobody's watching them. So it was Chicago Bears versus New England Patriots. And if you guys remember the refrigerator, Perry, the offensive lineman, they would give him the ball at the 1 yard line. And that was the first prop. I think Jimmy Vaccaro put it up. Will the fridge score a touchdown? Everybody bet the yes. Everyone bet the yes. And of course, he scored a touchdown, and that was the beginning of the props. And they started seeing that even though New England was getting blown out by 30 points, everybody was stuck to the screen still, because they wanted to see, does Fridge get into the end zone? And that started the prop game, where they added more and more and more and more. And now the handle's much more than 50%. I mean, it was a decade ago almost where it had reached half the money on the side in total. half the money on the props. Now I would venture a guess that 75-25, 75 in favor of props. That's not even counting like parlays, teasers, all that negative EV stuff. But just those straight bets will be more in props, 75-20, if not 25, not 80-20 in favor of the game, myself included. I have a 5% on the game, but I'm going to have 10, 15 props at 2% each, 3% each. So I'm going to have 30 units over here and only 5 on the game. So it's even the same for sharp bettors. In fact, for the syndicates, it's automatic. Most of them won't even care about the side or total. They may bet a first half, a team total, a second half, but they don't even care about the side and total. They're focused on those props because that's where they know the biggest advantage. The Super Bowl line's so tight. By the last game of the season, what do you think they're going to be? 3 points off, 4 points off? It's almost never that happens. And when it does, we find out about it. Like I bring it up, Billy Walters, when he bet the Saints, because he said, dude, this is like 4 points off of what it should be because of all the biases around it. I can't believe I'm betting 7 figures on a side in the Super Bowl. That's unheard of. But we haven't really seen that all that often because, again, once you get into the playoffs, conference championships, Super Bowl, the lines are so tight. It's really hard to find an edge that you're confident of. Like, I'm going to beat the market. I'm going to bet the Eagles plus 1.5 or 2, and it's going to go off at Eagles minus 1, 1.5. Or I'm going to take the Chiefs minus 1.5, and they're going off at minus 3, minus 130. That's not happening in the Super Bowl. So it's hard to get any kind of CLV or anything like that because the lines are so tight.
So we've got plenty of time between now and next Sunday. And guys, of course, Gianni will be right here all week long. You guys know how to get him over at WagerTalk.com. He'll be on WagerTalk today all week long, giving you the latest info. We do have
if they smash
card
that
here.
like button. They got to smash that like button. That's the only way. Got to smash it. Do me a favor. It takes you a second. I'm up early morning Sunday. Joe's taking time out of his day. Everyone's taking time out of their day. Our only goal is to help share actionable information, man. It helps with the engagement, honestly. Like, you think like, oh, it don't matter, but it really does. It helps the engagement. It helps push out what we're doing. And if Wager Talk's putting in the work and we're receiving it for free, at least the common courtesy, man, even whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, it's just common courtesy to go down there and hit the like button. Even tell me where I'm wrong, write a comment. Just, if you're going to bash a play, just do it before the game. I don't like those people that talk shit after the game. I have no respect for. You could disagree with me all you like, but have the guts to step up and tell me I'm wrong before the game starts. After the game, we all know whether I'm right or wrong. I want to know before the game what you think.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how what kind of geniuses after the results happen. So Gianni, we do have a slate game in college, so no doubt you've got some gold for us here across the board today. What have you been looking at?
I got college basketball, NBA, and NHL, so I'll go quick through it, brother. And NHL, that's been the weakest, so let me rattle these off real fast. 48 under 6.5, Devils, Buffalo. 50 under 6, Philadelphia, Colorado. Game 60 under 5.5, St. Louis, Nashville. And 62, Vancouver, minus 150. NBA real quickly. 565, Clippers, minus 5. They also bet that under, but that's moved 5 or 6 points, so don't be surprised if they bet it over a little later. 567, under 237, Dallas, Cleveland. And then 571, Boston Celtics, minus 10.5, minus 11, and over 222. College basketball, let's roll. Only 2 totals for you. One total, actually. 851 over 136. Colorado, TCU. Let's dive into the sides. 823, Fairfield plus the 7. 830, Sacred Heart minus the 3. 826, FAU minus 6.5, minus 7. 832, St. Peter's minus 3. 842, Rice plus the 10.5. 854, St. Thomas minus 1, 1.5. 877, Tulsa plus the 10. 848, Northern Iowa minus 1.5. 856, DePaul minus 4, minus 4.5. It looks like they bet pretty much every game on the board, but they do have good numbers in most of these. Keep your eye on the odds logic screen because there are some middles, there are some buybacks, especially when they get out overnight. As so far, I haven't released a single premium play because I keep my parameters tight. I have them set up for 2025. So far, so good. Up for the year, up over the last 7 days. And the goal is just to do damage. I'm really excited. Like I said, head on over to WagerTalk.com. Check out my page. I got the Super Bowl up. I'll have the MMA card already up because I released the 4% for next Saturday card. So, again, day by day, we're going to be crushing the college basketball with that sharpest group on the planet that hits these. And wait till you see what we do in baseball. Forget about it. Woo. I had a losing season last year, but now I'm with the right guys, ready to rock and roll, baby.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. I'm in South Florida, and the pitchers and catchers are already here, my man, around town. So it's we're that much closer to Major League Baseball. All right, get out of here. Get some rest here, Gianni. We always appreciate it. And, of course, we'll see you. Yes, go change your shirt from the steam room yesterday. We appreciate it, as always. Hope you guys appreciate it, because we're not done yet. We talked NBA. We talked college basketball. And now it is time to talk a loaded NHL slate here and get a couple of winners for you guys on the ice before we let you go. And who better than the one and only Carmine Bianco in the house, ready to roll here on a big slate. I can't. I've given up trying to figure out the NHL schedule, Carmine. Like, I don't get it. Like 2 games, 1 game, 12 games, no games. But we got a loaded slate on a Sunday here. So kick us off. Where are we starting on the ice today, man?
Yeah, 9 games today, 1 game tomorrow. So no puck time tomorrow for those guys who normally tune in. But Joe, I've been talking to the guys in the chat there. The best comment in chat after what Gianni said was from Bill Sandoval, who says he's undefeated on the season after the game is over. So you always love those guys who have the opinions after the game. But Gianni did mention this Devil Sabres game, and that one goes off in about 25 minutes, first puck drop, usually about 7 or 8 minutes after the hour, 1 o'clock. And he talked about the under in that one. And this is one of those ones. I talked to one of my clients this morning, and he used the word conundrum, and I'll tell you why. The Sabres 17-5-3 at home this season to the over, 28-14-7 to the over, very profitable angle. But the Devils 15-9-1 away from home to the under, 31-18-7, one of the best records to the under on the season. Conflicting data. So it is tough to take the over just based on the fact that the Sabres have a good number, and they've scored 11 goals in their last 2 games against Boston and Nashville since returning from that West Coast trip, because you never know what you're going to get from the Devils. And I think the Devils are a better defensive team. I think people just want to auto-click on the over in this one, and I'm leaning to the under because I think you're getting a better price on betting the under in this one. I think the Devils are obviously the better team, and normally the better team dictates the pace. So if they can keep the Sabres at bay and clog up that neutral zone, I think the under is the play in this early one. There's not much time for guys who are tuning in, so I will talk a couple other games, Joe, and then I'll add a third one, which is the Florida and Islanders one as well too.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Carm, because we've got a lot of these with 9 games today here. We had a big slate yesterday, so we got a lot of these teams on the second of back-to-backs. I know the Islanders, didn't they? They called the rookie up for his first appearance in net today against my Panthers. I don't know if the Panthers announced who was in it, but they took, it was the Blackhawks. So they played about 8 minutes, the starters yesterday for the Panthers. And then that game was pretty much over, though, with Bobrovsky in net. But have they put anybody in net for the Panthers yet, or is it night?
It's showing that it's going to be Knight in goal for them. It's not yet confirmed for them in that game, but it should be Knight. He's normally in back-to-backs. He's there. And listen, it's one of those ones where, again, you look at the 2 teams and the fact that the Islanders called up a goalie for this one, that it's Spencer Knight, and he's lost his last couple of games, and you just want to auto bet the over, and the line did go from 5.5 to 6, but it shaded 20 sets to the under. Spencer Knight, Joe, at home, and you're a Florida fan. Spencer Knight at home has been very good this season. These are his numbers at home for Spencer Knight: 1.69 goals against average, 934 save percentage. Those are excellent numbers for a goalie. Doesn't matter whether you're on the road or at home; those are great numbers for him. The problem is as you mentioned, the Islanders have called up. Let me see if I can try not to butcher his name, but Jakub Sarek. They've called him up from their from their Bridgeport Islanders. The problem is normally when you call up a goalie from the AHL, you're normally calling up a goalie who's playing well. He's not. He is 5-11-1, 322 goals against average, 895 save percentage for the Bridgeport Islanders, and the Isles are on a good run right now. So herein lies the question, Joe, on this one is, how are the Islanders going to play this game? They can't play a game in which against the Florida Panthers in which you want to open up the game, because if you leave this guy, if you allow Florida those rushes, those 3-on-2s, those 2-on-1s, they're going to score on this guy. I think it's more of a defensive battle here. The Islanders are going to be forced to try and play a defensive game here, and they've done well doing it over the last 6 or 7 games. They've strung some wins together. I would lean to the under here again. We've seen a lot of games over the past week or so staying under the total. Anytime you bet these 5.5s, this one thankfully is a 6. You're always worried about the empty netters. The other night there was a game in which was 3-1 with 3 minutes left, and they scored 4 goals in the last 3 minutes of that game. 2 empty net goals, a power play goal, and then a goal with about 3 seconds left. It turned a dead under into a dead over. It is tough because the goalie pulls are coming a lot quicker this year. John Cooper pulls his goalie with 7-8 minutes left in the game for Tampa Bay. So that tells you something. But I do like the under in this game, despite it. But I think Florida is the definite play here. I'd probably take Florida the puck line and look for one of those 3-1, 4-1 type results.
What are we doing here? And shout out to those guys in the chat room hanging with us here today. Big Daddy in the house. D-Best in here as well. Pleasure to see you guys. Roger Long, thank you. Titan CT. Keith Landry, as always, Turbocharge here. We appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, as we do have 9 games on the ice here today. Plenty of opportunities to end the week on a profitable note. Let's look at that Vegas Rangers game, Carm, if we can. Rangers, I believe, shut out last night. Not great, although they've been desperately trying to figure out how to turn this season around here. What are we doing, though, with Vegas in this spot here? Are they the side? What are we going to do in this game?
You know, the price here is about right. I think this is a coin flip. For lack of a better word, Vegas comes off losing 3 or 4 games at home. They're hitting the road now for 4 games. They're going to play the Rangers tonight, then the Islanders, then they're going to play New Jersey and Boston, and then they essentially honor a 2-week break with the Four Nations tournament coming up that starts on the 14th. It is Vegas. I think Vegas is starting to come around. Jonathan Quick should be the goalie here. The New York Rangers have been playing a lot better. They pulled themselves back into that playoff race, and I think they're going to continue to do so. They pick up JT Miller from the Vancouver Canucks in a trade in which they pretty much sent a bag of pucks and some bagels to Vancouver for that one. So getting JT Miller is obviously going to help this team. Jonathan Quick, he's had 3 attempts at win number 400. He's stuck at 399. I think he gets win number 400 today. I think they beat the Vegas Golden Knights. The Knights have not played well, and Brian Leonard had mentioned this on Puck Time about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. He said the schedule for Vegas is going to get that much tougher towards the end of December and the beginning of January or the middle of January, and might be a good time to start fading them. You can make some money. And he was right. They went on a losing streak, and I don't think they've fully come out of it. I think the Rangers are the spot here. Quick gets his 400th win if they actually do start him in goal. I like the Rangers in this spot.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. When the Rangers got shut out, it was just a awful appearance by Minnesota yesterday that got blanked by Ottawa 6-0, which was kind of laughable here. All right, so it is kind of a coin flip game in that one. You talked about Jersey, Buffalo. Gianni, Detroit, I'm sure, is somewhere listening about your breakdown and how Detroit is going to win the Stanley Cup somewhere along the line here. I don't know if it's going to be this year or the year 2085, but They are playing, I believe, Vancouver tonight. Are they not here at 8 o'clock? It's one of the late games here. What are we looking at in that one?
Yeah, Johnny Detroit also has some sweet season tickets. Joe, let me tell you, two great seats at the game. He's got a parking pass. I think he can actually drive into the stadium and park by the Zamboni. That's how good and revered Johnny is in Detroit and at Little Caesars Arena. But this is another one that Gianni talked about quickly when he was giving out the rotation numbers, and Vancouver, that they played on Vancouver, because I think Vancouver's the right spot here. I think they're playing much better than they have. And there was a lot of white noise going on with the dressing room and the whole JT Miller and Elias Peterson. And this team is now starting to string some wins together. It is more the scheduling for Detroit. So here are two numbers for Detroit. And I think at this point in the season, they're tough numbers to ignore. The Wings are 0-5 in the second of a back-to-back. It's a back-to-back tonight. They played last night in Calgary and then had to make the flight over to Vancouver, which is about an hour and a half or so, but probably getting in early morning. But not only that, they are 0-7, Detroit, this year when playing the third of a back-to-back, and this is the third of a back-to-back. They beat the Oilers, they beat Calgary, and now this is their third game in 4 nights, and they are 0-7 this season in that scenario. So a couple of things going against them in this one, a Vancouver team that got rid of that white noise with the move of JT Miller, and that have been playing much better of late. So I think Vancouver is the play right now. This one is probably going to steam, and because it's one of the late games of the night, it probably steams closer to the evening. There's some 150s out there. It's going to hit 160. Very well may hit 170 in this one, but I think Vancouver is the right play here.
Like in Vancouver to get it done here tonight in that game. I believe we had one other one here, Karn, that I saw coming in. And of course, it's got to be the late game, right? As second of the back-to-back for Calgary. And I believe, what do we got? A backup in net here tonight? Is it for that? Who have what? The backup, I think, has lost 6 straight for them, too, as well. But Seattle? Can we really trust Seattle here, or are we just expecting a lot of goals here?
Yeah, that's. I think that's the one thing. This is a different Seattle team. We saw this Seattle team that probably peaked a lot earlier than they should have when they made that second round of the playoffs and knocked off the defending Stanley Cup champions Colorado in that first round. They come off a good win, but again, 6-2 at home against the San Jose Sharks. Their games have been high scoring of late. 6-2. They lose 6-4 to the Anaheim Ducks, 4-2 to the Oilers. It's the Flames that I don't trust when taking an over. The Flames just haven't been a team you want to be betting on the over. Let's see if I can bring up quickly the numbers on the Flames on the season. But the Calgary Flames are 29-20-1 to the over. To the under this season. So if you're betting Calgary Flame unders, you're making money. They are the sixth best team to the under. Away from home, let me see if that number improves at all. Away from home, Calgary is 13-10-1 to the under. So again, another profitable angle from them. The Seattle Kraken, if we're looking at the Seattle Kraken, they are pretty minuscule either way. They're 13-14-1 to the under this season at home. And then overall on the season, not much better on the season, 26-24-3, negative units, whether you're betting the over or betting the under. So I probably wouldn't touch the total. If I was, I would likely I'd likely lean on the fact that Calgary on the road are better under team and just don't score a lot of goals. I'm not really worried about the goalies. Joey Decord's a good goalie for Seattle, and it should be Dan Vidar in goal for Calgary tonight. This is one of those ones where, Joe, maybe watch Netflix You don't have to bet the last game on the board because it's there. They say chase the last game. You may not want to chase this one. There's a couple of good series on there. Watch Landman with Billy Bob Thornton or Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton. Those are a couple of good series on Netflix and Prime. Watch those instead of watching the Calgary Flames and the Seattle Kraken.
You listen, that is just a fantastic promotion for the NHL there, Carmine. Well done. And restart, because I think you're frozen, by the way, there, Carm. Big shout out to 4 on the floor. Mike Johnson, appreciate you coming in there. Barry Driscoll, of course, Rick J, Big Daddy, all you guys, outstanding stuff. We do want to know what Carmine or Barry Driscoll does have Detroit on the money line here tonight. On fire with confidence, he says there, Carm. So in addition, got 9 games here. What do you have locked and loaded on your page at WagerTalk for us here?
3 plays up in the NHL for today. I may add a couple evening ones that will be client plays, but I'll try and attach them to that package if you guys do pick up that one. And then a great code, CB100. This is valid for another day or so. It'll get you $100 off a 30-day all-access package. So you'll get, of course, all NHL, all soccer, the Champions League, Europa League are going on. We cashed 2 5% back-to-back winners on Wednesday and Thursday on the pitch in Europe, and plenty of soccer, of course, going on. And then the Super Bowl and a bunch of props as well, too. Joe, before I go, I want to mention a prop, and you tell me what you think about this in the NFL, because I saw, and such a great guy, I love to talk to him all the time, Bill Krakemeyer posted a prop of the Philadelphia Eagles under 4 players to rush the ball, and it was almost even money, minus 110. And he bet that one. You look at the Eagles and you figure, okay, well, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Gainwell, you would need 2 other guys to rush in order to make that ticket a loser, 1 guy to make it a push, because it's a 2-way line, not a 3-way line. Who else could possibly rush the ball? Any wide receiver end arounds? I don't think it's going to be Will Shipley. He's had 13 games this season, Shipley, including the playoffs, where he hasn't even carried the ball once. He's only carried the ball in games in which the Eagles have blown teams out. So any thoughts?
Well, I mean, the only thing that would scare me, Carm, the only thing that would scare me is that if Hurts has to leave the game, Pickett has to come in, and then Pickett running for his life gets a rush, and then you got to worry about. I'm just saying. I mean, you would think not more than 3, but even if they did a Devonta Smith end around or some sort of trick play there. That would be the only thing that worries me, is that you got Pickett showing up in this game for some unknown reason there. And then, then you might be screwed at that point. But for the most part, the price.
It reminds me of the, and if you're on the wrong side of this one, you guys will remember this one. But Patrick Mahomes rushing yards, in which the last 2 plays of the game, he took. He went back 7 yards on one play and then about 8 yards on another, lost 16 yards and turned the winning ticket into a losing ticket. So this is the NFL. We absolutely love it. We'll see what the script shows us next Monday.
Love it. All right. Well, and you can't ask Dan any of that, because he'd have just said they don't need anybody except 2 guys rushing the ball, and that's it, because they're gonna rush right into a Super Bowl trophy there. Carmine, always a pleasure, brother. I appreciate you stopping by. I know you got a big day here on the pitch as well as the ice, so we'll see you, of course, for puck time during the week, except for tomorrow. There's only 1 game, so no puck time tomorrow. He'll be back with Andrew on Tuesday, and just another reason for you guys to hit that like button and subscribe button and become part of that WagerTalk TV family. And that'll do it. Another week in the books, the calm before the storm, guys. Beginning tomorrow, it'll be all about the big game next Sunday. Kelly's in New Orleans all week long, so you'll have a chance to see her. The content, of course, will be rolling out of New Orleans live on Radio Row. You still have an opportunity to hop on board with your favorite handicapper over at WagerTalk for the big game. Not just the big game this Sunday, but through the big game next year as well. That is a hell of a deal for 1 year, guys. That's how you do it. Partner up, long-term investment. That's what it is all about. And certainly hope you'll come back and join us again tomorrow, as we do have Wager Talk today and a whole lot of guest appearances this week on Wager Talk today. And it'll be a Prez-free zone this week. So you guys feel free to come and hang out with us beginning tomorrow, noon Eastern time for Wager Talk today. Much more coming on a big game. Until then, guys, best of luck with all your plays. We'll see you again soon here on Wager Talk.